Emmie Howard is here. She is the founder of Southern Proper. Official good morning to you.
Good morning.
So first of all, before we get into sort of the background, tell people what Southern Proper is.
Sure. Southern Proper is an Atlanta-based clothing company that's made for the Southern gentleman. So we celebrate all things Southern, all things gentleman. We can dress a guy from head to toe, and we have that classic and refreshing look.
All right, so I got to talk about your inspiration for this because I feel like when we meet a lot of women that come on the show that have their own businesses, it's not men's clothing, it's
Right.
women's clothing.
Yes.
So what made you want to get into the men's clothing business? Was your husband just like poorly dressed? Was he like a schlub? Is that what happened?
Well, I've vastly improved his wardrobe, that's for sure. No, but actually, I grew up on the banks of the Mississippi River in Tennessee, a small family farm that my family's actually still there. And came to college in Georgia, fell in love with Georgia. But two things I've always loved, Southern men and fashion.
Okay.
And in that order, too. So, but there's nothing more quintessential than a seersucker suit and a bow tie. And I can remember my grandfather, doing a hard week's work, but then on having that Sunday best.
Yeah.
And just looking so fantastic in bright red pants, a well-fitting navy blazer, maybe a cool colored tie or bow tie. And it just always stuck with me that gentlemen just look better when they're dressed up.
Yeah.
And so in 2005, founded a Southern Proper clothing for the Southern gentleman and included bow ties and neckties, and then have grown it for the last 12 years into a full-fledged line.
So let's back up now a little bit because not everybody who just loves Southern men decides they're going to dress
Right.
them and start a business and be
Sure.
a founder and a CEO. So what were you doing in your career at that point up to then?
Sure. So after I graduated from college, I went to Brenau Women's College in Gainesville, Georgia. I was recruited to work for Newell Rubbermaid. So I did a brief stint, 3.5 years with Newell Rubbermaid, and got great experience, traveled the world, did a lot of sourcing, marketing for them. But just, I had all these great ideas, and I didn't think I was going to change the world one dustpan at a time, one trash can at a time with Rubbermaid. So I jumped off that wagon and started Southern Proper and just took the leap of faith. I think that's the biggest thing for any entrepreneur, any idea you have, is you have to just do it.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in action. Sometimes even if it's not the right action, if you're moving.
If you're moving.
Yeah. It makes a big difference. Okay, so you decide you want to do this. How much pre-planning before you left the corporate job and just went for it?
Sure. So actually a friend of mine and I started the business together. She's since gotten out of the business, but we would spend weekends and nights just kind of planning, looking at the industry. Back in 2005, there really wasn't, the whole subculture of everything Southern hadn't exploded yet.
Okay.
So I think we were really trailblazers in that it was something that we knew we could celebrate, that people were really, really loved. I think there was only really one true Southern restaurant when we first got started, which was JCT Kitchen over on the west side.
Yeah.
But ever since then, there's been this subculture of Southern food and apparel and clothing. And so we kind of saw that coming and jumped on it and created Southern Proper.
So as you were starting to, you were talking about it, thinking about it, was it months? Was it years?
Oh, yeah. It was actually about 6 months of pre-planning, putting a business plan together, securing investors, which just happened to be our friends and family.
I was going to say, you air quoted that.
Yes.
So, all right. So you took some friends and family money.
Right.
You figured out how much you needed to get started.
Absolutely.
How was that, taking friends and family money? Would you recommend other people do it?
You know what? It's up to you. If you know your friends and family well, then I think
Because what if you lose it?
Right. What if you
Are
lose
they
it?
still
And
going to
that's a
invite you to
risk.
Thanksgiving?
Well, family's family, so
They have to invite you.
They have to invite you. But it was quite the experience to pitch them, because we pitched them just like we would any legitimate investor.
Yeah.
And it was small. We started really small.
So you're saying you stood up with a PowerPoint?
We did. We PowerPointed it out.
I love that.
We had the full plan, but they were on board. They believed in us. We had the plan. We knew what we were doing. Well, we didn't know what we were doing, actually, but
you thought you did.
We
Everyone
thought we
does
did.
when they start,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Like, we got this.
We got this.
Emmie Howard hanging out with us right now, founder of Southern Proper, and we're kind of talking about the origins of the business. And so as you're planning and thinking, and you're starting with ties and bow ties, What are you thinking at that point as you're developing the business about how to get it out there? About is it stores? Is it e-commerce? Is it
Yeah.
omni-channel? Like, what are you thinking at that point?
Absolutely. At that point, we were very fortunate, Dana, that we were just out of college, just a few years, and we were early adopters to Facebook, all the social media, Twitter. And I think that really helped us because what it did, and I'm borrowing this quote from a friend, is it kind of made us look like a blowfish. Um, we looked bigger than we were, but it was just two of us behind the scenes in my dining room, cranking out bow ties and ties and shipping and Facebooking. We had an amazing web presence, which was huge back then.
Yeah.
I mean, we've come such a long way. I mean, if you're not on the internet now, you're not relevant.
Right.
But we were early to that, so people thought we were a lot bigger than we were. So it really helped launch our business ahead.
So I would think, I mean, the only danger with that is that if you kind of look bigger than you are, you're expected to sort of perform bigger than you are. So if the giant, retailer comes to you and says, we want to, 100,000 bow ties, you better be able to deliver.
Right.
So did you experience some of that as you were growing?
We did. I remember a couple years in, we were still just very small, neckties, bow ties, accessories. And Southern Living ran an article on us, and it went, just kind of, they actually have nationwide, subscribers.
Yeah.
And we sold out. It shut down our website.
Wow.
We didn't know how to deal with it, but it was great, and you never say no to business. You always find a way to get out there and make it happen.
Yeah. So Emmie Howard hanging out with us right now. She is the founder of Southern Proper. So let's fast forward a little bit. So now things are going along because it's been how many years now?
Oh, 12.
Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's a really good
Yes,
sign,
good
first
sign.
of all, 12 years in the business. Where are you now in terms of size and
Sure.
operation and all of that?
Sure. So we actually sell to over 250 specialty retail stores. So the mom and pop shops, right around the corner from you guys, Onward Reserve, which is a great store and has a chain of stores. But we're also in Belk, Dillard's, Von Maur, which is awesome. So we've really kind of expanded it into those great department stores. We actually have a section or a department within a lot of these stores, which is really terrific for us and has helped us grow. In the next 18 months, we're looking to get to the $10-12 million mark, which is going to be exciting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so how many employees, what does it take to make all this happen?
Gosh. Well, I tell you, we have a terrific team based here where our office is in historic Chambly. So we have a cool little renovated warehouse space. And we have about 10 young ladies. Actually, we're female run and led, which is very exciting. We do have one guy that's an intern right now, so
he's a good
shout
sport,
out to him.
obviously.
Yeah. he deals with a lot on a daily basis. But yeah, and still growing every day. Always looking for what the next thing is. I do think that staying lean has been part of our success because you can do a lot with a little these days. So
well, when you're talking about the origin story and starting, sort of shortly after college, and it's a couple of women sort of kind of putting their heads together and coming up with this. Now you're running a business that's getting into the double-digit millions, which is amazing, and you've got a staff of 10, and you've got office space, and all of that. What's been sort of the biggest struggle for you in terms of leading all of that?
Sure. Well, the apparel industry is a tough business. It's very competitive. You have to stay on your toes. One of my big mantras is business is in the details. Do you remember those books back in like the 90s of don't sweat the small stuff?
Yeah.
Well, I
the opposite.
completely disagree. I think you should sweat all the small stuff because it does matter.
Yeah.
The littlest detail on a shirt or the cool pocket in a blazer that holds cigars and flask or, things like that can really set yourself apart in a sea of, tons of blazers, tons of shirts. So details have really been what matters in our business.
And listen, we're kind of down to the last minute, but I know you talked about starting in the early days with social media, and it's sort of all about having people build a relationship with that brand.
Absolutely.
Does that remain true for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You've got to reach out and touch your customers. You got to make them feel part of your brand. And, the more you can be out there on social, the better. And we're social. So why not put that as part of your brand?
Yeah. So you don't rely on the stores, even though you're in all of these big stores that do all of their own marketing and placement in the stores and all of that. You still have to do it from your end.
Sure.
Making sure that the people who love the brand love the brand.
Exactly.
And that you're top of mind and all of those things. All right. Now we're down to the last 10 seconds. Like, where are you going to be in 10 years?
Oh, 10 years?
World domination?
World domination.
Okay.
Every woman.
I will be there with you.
Hey, all right, Dana, we're there together.
We'll be running the world. I love it.
Yes.
And your handler will be joining us in that. Mary
right.
Catherine in
Mary
the background will
Catherine.
also be joining us in ruling the world. I love it. Listen, we're going to post a link to all things Southern Proper on
Thank
our
you.
show notes page. Emmie Howard, thank you so much for being
Thanks,
with us.
Dana.
And congratulations on all the amazing
Oh,
success.
my gosh. Thank you.
Yeah.
And happy birthday, Schmooky.
There you go. All right. It is the Dana Barrett Show. It is Women on Wednesday. We'll be back.